Well, hello, 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 you guys. I don't know if you can hear me, but let me just try something real quick. Oh, goodness. Let's see here. Okay, can you hear me? Hi, you guys. This is Blog Media Breeze, and I'm just coming with more Housewives reviews and updates. I just wanted to chit chat with you this evening. And but before I do that, I need to take a moment, so just bear with me here. One moment, okay? Well, look, clearly that was not long enough. I needed a little more time, okay? But I will go ahead. I digress. I want to go ahead and get started with you. Listen. Hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy early Thanksgiving. I hope you have a good one. I am planning to have a good one. I am probably cooking more this year than I have ever cooked before. Okay. And that includes desserts and everything because last year I didn't get to spend it with all of the people I love. Got to spend it with some of the people I love. And so, we're just going to be having us a good old time here. It feels like Thanksgiving again. Compared to what we have been through as a nation, it really feels like Thanksgiving again. I want to share something with you. This is a let's dialogue because I am going to be doing kind of partial reviews, but then partial information and just things I want to come on here and talk about. So that's why I'm calling it dialogue. I was going to say, okay, let's chat, but I didn't want to. I know that there are a lot of other people out there who say, let's chat. And I said, well, let me just say, let's dialogue. Okay. And to start with, though, I want to talk about um, the Real Housewives of Potomac. I didn't I did not really plan to do a review on the Real Housewives of Potomac, which is why I've included them in this kind of informal dialogue, just to have some conversation. And you guys get down in the comments and talk to me about what you thought about the Real Housewives of Potomac this past weekend, this past Sunday. Because Andy opened up with, he ended the part two reunion by a question from a viewer for Ashley asking her how is that she felt differently when her husband does the things that he does on television. Yet she was very upset with Mia's husband for doing what he did on the season this year. And you guys, people need to be, I don't like people who are over analytical because I think they get a little bit off base and it doesn't really it starts to not make a lot of sense logically. Let me take some water. I'm sorry. But there's a difference between what Gordon, who they call G, was doing and what Michael does. Mia's husband, Gordon, didn't touch anyone. He didn't put his hands on anyone. He didn't harass anyone with the S word. I don't know if you can say, sexually harass. He didn't do all of that. Whereas Michael did. And Michael did it more than once on air. He did it was the second season, I believe, and then he did it when Monique came on in her season. There was an accusation made against him by another staff member of Bravo, actually. And So whenever Andy posed the question to Ashley from the viewer whether or not she saw what G does differently from what Michael does, it is 90 degrees difference between the two of them, at least, because I didn't like G's behavior at all. I'm not condoning that behavior. At the same time, G did not touch someone. And this is what I'm saying whenever I talk to you guys about Mia and whenever I say to you that Mia is not she's not sharp. I don't know how to say this. Mia is not sharp. She doesn't come across as a smart woman, not even really a smart businesswoman. You can have businesses, you guys, and make a lot of money and still not be smart. And she's quite airheaded. And I am so sorry to have to say that in this video and use this content for this because I like Mia. I want her to stay on the show. I really do. At the same time, when she first came on the show, I was so elated, I was excited. I they had all this really great energy, and then she started to talk. And then whenever she would give responses to Candace or to Giselle and even to Escala, she was not sharp enough. And I'm not talking about reading people or jonesing people. I'm saying just having an intelligent response to a person who is coming at you so hard and having a realistic response. I believe Mia spends so much time faking her insecurities that it's difficult for her to give an authentic response to those ladies whenever they're coming for her. Because when Andy, in this last part three reunion, started talking about G and Mia responded, what I would have said is, well, listen, albeit that G's behavior may have been indifferent to what you all believe it is, at least he didn't touch anyone. Actually, your husband has put his hands on other men consistently. So at least G didn't do any of that. I would have said something like that to them. But she just sits there and just takes it all in stride. Oh, I'm not that kind of person. You're not that kind of person because you're not that sharp, Mia. And I think that once you become more secure with yourself, you will be able to reply in confidence and not be in fear of what they're going to say back to you. So that's what I wanted to say about that because Ashley's response was, "Oh, well, Michael has never, what did she say? He's never done something to anyone on the show." And the reality is, Michael's done a lot. Michael is he's creepy. He's very creepy. And the way he responds to Juan is really quite creepy to me. Also, the fact that he and Juan keep missing the reunions, the same reunions over the past couple of years, they have both not been at the reunions. And I don't I really do not get that relationship between he and Juan because Juan, most men would not like Michael coming at them like that. They would distance themselves from that behavior. Let me say, most heterosexual men would. Okay, most heterosexual, and one clearly is heterosexual because he's in a relationship with Robin, and I don't think he goes the other way. I'm not putting that out there by any means. However, I'm just very interested in the way he responds to Michael when Michael is clearly making all kinds of passes at him. And so that is what I will say to that. As far as the other part of the reunion, when Wendy and Robin were going back and forth, Robin made more sense to me than Wendy. Wendy, and I think that it's a cultural difference, right? Because Wendy is Nigerian and we are Black American, or some people say African American. Um, I believe the dialogue between Robin and Wendy was based more on a cultural difference, even though they are two Black women. Okay. The way that Nigerians perceive humor is very different than the way we perceive humor, even as Black people. Even with, like, in my church, I know my son and I, we used to have a conversation about how, because we have Caribbean people in our church, right? When we lived in the Atlanta area, and they would laugh at information and content that we just did not find funny. It just was very common. It was just a very common conversation, and they would laugh. So there are cultural differences. Just because we are all Black does not mean that we have the same experiences when it comes to humor and when it comes to how we learn information. And a lot of people have been criticizing Wendy even about her what do you call it now? She had a this big board with the text between her and Robin, and then she brought in this loose leaf manila folder with what she called receipts in it. And I even saw that as a cultural process for her. Andy criticized it because, of course, Andy is American like us. So he criticized it. And I think that he didn't understand that that's, she thought she was really doing something, you guys. Wendy thought she was really doing something with her receipts on this reunion, but the rest of us were looking like, okay, really, you really missed the whole mark. You missed the entire mark. And in her conversations, I've noticed that Wendy loves to jump, or she gets wide-eyed about, like, right before she gets ready to respond. She gets really anxious in her body language and her facial movements. And she did that as she was speaking to Robin, which made me think she was not hearing Robin, or she wasn't listening, because Robin was clearly trying to say to her, some information logically, and she was missing that whole mark as well. And she missed it because she was so anxious to put out what she had planned to do. Whenever we are making plans about how we are going to strategically be in any given situation, whether it's work or with events or how what have you, it is very important to also preempt some of the strategies of the other team or the other person. You need to at least document and know, or have in your mind, okay, if I say this, they could say this, or they could say that. If I bring these texts out, she could say, well, look, hey, I knew about that. She could just like brush it off and not even care. Or she may have a stronger comeback, and you need to kind of preempt what that stronger comeback will be. And Wendy does not do that. She only thinks in her mind how she wants things to go, and they do not work out that way. You have to think in your mind how you want things to go, and you need to think how the other side might respond to you in an antagonizing way, not even in a good way. And then even understand, how am I going to respond if they do this to me? It depends on the kind of impression you want to make. So, um, I would say, like for me, quite frankly, you guys, for me, there are some people, once you have disrespected me, I don't really care how I respond to you. Like, in my job, I didn't really care how I responded to those people. I really didn't. They were completely unprofessional. They were the devil, for real. I have a book out about it, and I cannot wait for it to be published in December. And I know people say you should not name names in your book. Some of the people in my book who have harassed me over my work years are going to be named. They are named, and I can name them because this was what happened. to me in the workplace. So for those situations for me, I don't really care about you. I don't really care about you. Once you have disrespected me or you're coming for me in a manner that I know I do not deserve, I'm not interested in what you have to say. I'm going to shut it down very early, and we can just move on, and you can just do whatever you're going to do. Um, that being said, I want to go ahead and move on because did you notice how Candace was responding to Wendy when Wendy held up the receipts and Andy let Wendy know that she fell short of the receipts? He didn't. A lot of people are saying that he was mad about the receipts. I do not. I didn't see him being angry about the receipts. I believe he was just disappointed. He was disappointed. And here's the other thing about Andy. Do you guys like Andy being the host of the reunions? There are a lot of other, especially Black American content providers who are saying that he should leave, that he needs to go. I don't necessarily think that he needs to go. That's me. I like Andy. I think he does a great reunion. I think he is thorough. He's the most experienced. And the one thing that I think Andy needs to change is fairness. Because when he was hosting the reunion for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recently, he was not as hard on Erica as he was on Candace. And I'm not even a Candace fan. Go back and look at my other videos. I am not a Candace fan. However, he was way harder on Candace. And he was even really quite hard on Wendy. He's very bold with the Black housewives. He's very bold. He's not that bold with the white housewives. For example, Ramona. From what I understand, allegedly, he's trying to keep Ramona on the show in spite of her racist rants against not one, but two people, two employees of that Real Housewives of New York show. Two employees have been offended by Ramona's racist rants, and they are trying to keep her on the show by giving her sensitivity training. This is allegedly. Normally in corporate America, what they do is you get one, two, three, and you're terminated. So Ramona, really, quite frankly, I guess this would be her two. They're going to send her through sensitivity training. So if they're doing all that for her, what's the what's wrong with going ahead and bringing back Nene? Why not just reprimand Nene and say, okay, we're going to put you through this kind of training? Maybe Nene needs to go through um, a not I wouldn't say sensitivity training, but a training that hosts racial discrimination in the workplace, that educates her on that. Because the trainings, what they are is just simply education on the uh, whatever it is that you've done. It provides you education on whatever it is that you've done. You go through that training and you just, you move on. So maybe they should do that for a Nene instead of saying, no, we're not going to give you another chance. Um, if you're going to bring Ramona back, that's what I say do. If you're bringing back Ramona, then you need to bring back Nene. So that's what I will say about Real Housewives of Potomac. It was not really a big deal. At the end, of course, they bring in Nicki Minaj. And now I will be reviewing this coming this reunion part 4. I will definitely be reviewing that because Nikki has some questions that she has brought in from the Barbs and also questions that's been on her mind. As you know, she's a real big fan. And so I will be bringing that in. And I want to show you guys something here really quickly. Let's see if I can, if I may. You guys get down in the comments. I know that tonight I made it as a subscribers only comment show. That's because I have a lot of trolls, and the trolls are here now, believe it or not. Okay. But that's okay. I want to show you guys this. Okay. This is
Look at me and my boo Ray. I stole him from the Guanzon, and she just gonna have a zilpin child.
I'm right here. I'm right here.
But no, get out of here. Ain't nobody asked you to do that. Bye, Karen.
okay. So did you guys see that? That's Nicki Minaj and you and Ray. I love Ray. I love Ray. I get why he and Karen are together. I get that. And there are some other pictures of Ray from back in the day when he was really quite debonair. Okay. So people are looking at the gray and the aging, which he is really aging very nicely. And he supported. They started to talk about. Chris started on this reunion on Real Housewives of Potomac. Chris started to talk about. Let's see, what did they talked about money, right? Which, by the way, Mia's husband G is worth about 80 mil, right? So Mia's not struggling at all. She's like Ashley. I'm in it for the long haul. With that kind of money, I'm in it for the long haul. So they were talking about something, and Chris wanted them to see he and Candace as the same way. What was it that they were talking about Ray and Karen, because Ray talked about how he supports Karen and her endeavors. And Chris wanted everyone to see the relationship between his wife and him in the same way. And Giselle, I like the point that she brought out because she said, listen, the missing component is that Ray held Karen up for 20 years. That's the missing component. Okay. Now, if Chris were really smart, he never would have asked that question. He would have known that information. He would have been able to see clearly that, okay, this is a man who has held his wife up for many years and now she's doing it for him. Okay. And quite frankly, Ray still has a lot of money, you guys. Ray is not broke. Ray and Karen are not broke. I will say it again. They are not broke. Okay. I know people who live in Maryland. I have family members all over DC and Maryland. So anyway, and Virginia. look, look, my mother's side of the family is huge. The family reunions are massive and everybody shows up. It's just like even our California cousins, everybody flies in. They stay at somebody's house or they stay at a hotel. I mean, it's just like so. We haven't had one of those in about 3 years though, and I think they were trying to plan it for 2021, but then the pandemic happened, and it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of planning. I've been involved in it on that end, and it's a lot. It's literally over a year's worth of planning for big family reunions if you want to do them right and depending on your family. Um, I digress on that. I was kind of glad we didn't have it in 2021. Um, so I want to move on and just say to end Real Housewives of Potomac by saying that next week I will do a full review on Real Housewives of Potomac because I'm very interested in Nicki Minaj being there and I'm excited to hear her questions and how the women respond. And you see at this reunion, Giselle was the first one at the end to get up and hug Nicki. So her daughters must be real Nicki fans. Nicki looked beautiful. She looked really beautiful. And I digress. So let's just kind of skip on in here to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. But I want to do something real quickly here. I want you guys to like, subscribe, and click the notifications bell, please. So just bear with me while I prepare for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Okay, you guys. Hi. I want to pause and just as an aside say this. I believe that I can tell, you can tell what's going on your channel sometimes by the way that people respond. And I literally believe that there is like only a couple of people here right now. And what they do is they go out, they come back in with a different name, and then they get in my comments and act as if they are a different person because they are commenting with different profiles. So I just want you to know that I know for a fact that is going on, and I got you, okay? But somebody else is about to get you too, okay? So it's really weird because one of the things that my job asked me about the other day was about my YouTube channel. They were so interested in my YouTube channel. I see you. One of the things I want to talk to you about is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And I want to know, what do you guys think of Mary? Remember back in one of my other videos where I told you that Mary to me is very strange, and because of her history, it made me not want to watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I liked it with the other ladies, but I did not like it with Mary, and I did not like it with Jen. I did not like it. When you watch people's behavior, you know something is going on. From the first season, whenever I saw Jen, because I was excited about Salt Lake City because their views are magnificent. Their views are magnificent. They have some of the most magnificent views on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City of any other franchise. No other franchise can give you that visual. It's absolutely beautiful. The snow, the mountains, the homes, because their homes are quite eccentric built. They're not like homes like in the South anyway, in the Southeast. And to think that Jen went to great lengths to put on an air, it, that is just like, I'm going, really? You went and made us think you owned a whole chalet when the reality was you were renting the chalet, and then you couldn't even keep your rent up allegedly, and the owners had to have you move out, so you went and got another chalet. It's how can you not, as a man, not see the imbalance in the person that you chose to wife? Jen has been imbalanced from day one. She was even last year when they were all at the restaurant, she practically hit one of the ladies. She was like out of control. Out of control. I don't wanna see that on the Housewives show. I know that a lot of people think, "Oh," like, people who think, "Ooh, I kinda like them going to jail and being criminals because it gives me something to look for." Like, on another channel, uh, a very popular channel who has, like, 300 and some thousand, is it 300? Yeah, 300 and some thousand subscribers. She's on there talking about how she loves it whenever, it's crime and stuff like that. I don't love the crime. See, that's the difference between good and evil. Why do you need to have someone commit a crime for something to be exciting for you? I don't love the crime. I don't want to see criminals on the Real Housewives. I want to see the Real Housewives living their authentic, beautiful lives and being quite superficial and having a little bit of drama that they eventually resolve so that we can see that they resolve it and see how they resolve it amicably and not in a fight or a brawl. That's why I started watching them. I started watching Real Housewives back in 2007 with Real Housewives of Orange County. That's just how long they've been on, and then I've been watching every single one of them ever since. I remember When we first moved to Charlotte, I had this phone. It was the Instinct phone by Sprint, and the Instinct phone uh, looked really quite like the iPhone looks now. You know, the full body, full screen, and I would put it on my dashboard. I would glue it to my dashboard on the way to work in the morning, and and just be listening to it because my eyes were on the road. But the fact that I could have a little TV in my car, but I would be catching up with the Housewives because you could go to Bravo and actually watch the Housewives on the Instinct phone. So that's just how into the Real Housewives I am. So that's why I do these reviews. And I like I like the extravagant lifestyles. I like the business women. I like to see that they are business women, doing the daggone thing, and just their natural way of living. I like that. So for people who are just in it because, oh, we had something to look forward to because, uh Homeland Security came to lock up Jen and all of this stuff. That's not what I'm in it for. I do not like the idea. This woman is a mother. At the end of the day, she has children and she has a husband. So when and if she even goes to prison, her children are going to be torn up. Their hearts are going to be broken. And I'm not feeling sorry for her. She deserves to go to prison. She deserves to do some time. But my point is, that's not what I look at the housewives for. She should have stayed off the show, and the FBI, Homeland Security, and all those people should have just went and got her off the show so I can enjoy the show, you know? Um, but I will tell you the one who made it very amusing for me was Meredith. Meredith in the bubble bath after having found out that Homeland Security and NYPD and all of those people had come to get Jen, she goes and she takes a bubble bath. That is, listen, you guys, I loved that scene. Meredith is my like Ace Boone Coon of Housewives now. Okay, she just took that all in stride. I like Meredith. I like her. And I like the way she handles things. Even she was on Watch what is it? Watch What's Happening Live, which is another show I like. I don't know why people are trying to say that they should take away Watch What's Happening Live. I like it because it's a show that focuses on having the housewives as guests, having housewives Hollywood fans as guests, and allowing other of us who are not famous to sit in the audience if we want to come. I like the games that they play with the housewives, so I don't want them to take that away, and I hope that they do not. I don't know what's wrong with some of these people. They just love when other people are just like they just have to be saying, "Oh, this ain't that, and I don't like this," and they have to be so freaking negative all the time. Like even like with Giselle on Real Housewives of Potomac. I have not always liked her fashion. She has gotten better. I do like the outfit she wore on the reunion because it matched with the other ladies. And someone was talking about the shade of pink she was wearing, where her shade of pink was equivalent to Karen's shade of pink. So if she looks like Pepto Bismol, so does Karen. But you loved Karen. So that says you are not fair in your assessment. They both had on the same shade of pink. But Karen is a queen and Giselle is not. And I'm not a huge Giselle fan, okay? But I have a good deal of respect for Giselle because I know she was raised up in a high value household. Her mother and father are high value people. They are like the people I was raised around and the families I was raised around. So I don't I like Giselle. I believe she is for the most part just trying to keep the show going, quite frankly. Okay. I think she's trying to keep the show going. So let's get back to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't know how I got off on that tangent with Potomac, but in this episode, we learn that Mary really has a hard on for Whitney, all because Whitney didn't answer the phone when she called. And now Mary has clearly carried this grudge for about 2 weeks now. She's carrying this grudge about Whitney not answering the phone when she called her. If I were Whitney, I would never answer the phone again. I would block Mary. I mean, if this is how you're going to treat me for not answering a call, I don't have to answer a call the phone every time you call me. Just because I don't, I may be doing something else. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I may be cooking, I may be in the tub. There are a number of reasons why I would not answer Mary's call. And I think that Whitney should block Mary and just not answer any more of her calls henceforth and forevermore until Mary apologizes to her. I don't know why Whitney insists on apologizing to Mary. You don't owe Mary an apology, Whitney. You don't. Are they that afraid of Mary? Which, by the way, you guys, I hear allegedly there's some kind of scam going on with Mary and her church. Have you heard that? I heard she's taken those members and the whole congregation for everything they've got. And that the gentleman who just passed away, Cameron, who was on the show, remember Lisa's son had a event. And at that event, Lisa was talking to this light skinned black male about Mary. That's Cameron. Well, that person is no longer here. He has exited this life. However, he is the one allegedly that Mary uh, took $300,000 from, made him mortgage his house, and she took the money. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? And even his wife, because from what I understand, he's married. Why would his wife allow him to do that? So that's what I wanted to say about them, but they are going to have a better show next week as well because they're going to be talking about Mary, and it's supposed to come out on this season that Mary is supposed to also end up in court for harboring a minor, and that minor's parents contacted law enforcement to let them know that Mary had was harboring their child and wouldn't let their child come home or something. And I think that the person that she was harboring was her son's girlfriend. Now, this is alleged, okay? Watch the show if you want to know how true it is. I want to go on and say another favorite that I have of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is Heather. I really like Heather, and I don't believe Heather whenever she says all of this stuff about Jen that she's going to be her friend no matter what. I think she's doing that for the show. Heather strikes me as someone who knows better than to be friends with someone who has done the things to her that Jen has done and who has even just done the things to elderly people that Jen has done. I would cut Jen off, period. And Bravo needs not, they're probably going to bring her back because this was such an exciting moment having her get arrested. For most people, it was an exciting moment. I'm in the minority. I am in the minority when it comes to criminals on Real Housewives. Okay. I even think that Erica should not be on Beverly Hills anymore, but they are going to keep her because of the way that show ended. I hope that they tighten up those loose ends and get rid of her next season. I hope that they are looking for another housewife. Before this season, she didn't really bring anything to Beverly Hills anyway. And I'm just like jibber jabbering on, and I haven't heard a word from anyone who is showing up here. Looks like you guys keep leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back. The same people. It's just like you're like rotating. Um so I just wanted to talk about that on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Talk about some of my faves. I also like Jenny. I like Jenny basically because she got Mary told. She got Mary told. I don't. One of the reasons that Mary is just kind of weird to me is I could never. be intimate with anyone that any other female in my family has been with, let alone my grandmother, let alone my precious grandmother. My grandmother was married to my grandfather, my goodness, for over 50 years. So, I mean, I would never. But the point is, if she wasn't and I had a step granddad, there's no way in the heck, no way, no way. And the fact that she did that, that tells me a lot about her psyche. You know what I'm saying? It tells me a lot about how she thinks. But there are other YouTubers on here who just love Mary. Oh, I just love Mary. Mary's one of my favorite. And birds of a feather. Hello, birds of a feather. So I wanted to the last thing I wanted to talk about. Do you guys watch the Wendy Williams show? And I really don't expect an answer because like I said, I know that this person here who is here now is the same person and they just have different accounts. There may be some people who are not the same person, but overall. Um, but Wendy Williams, I have not watched Wendy Williams at all this season. I haven't watched it at all. I heard that a lot of people like Sherry Shepherd. I did not see Sherry Shepherd on the show. Um, but today I had the opportunity to watch it and I saw Remy Ma and Fat Joe and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think that they would be good to take over for Wendy. They were, you know, tag teaming, team tagging, like they were like in sync, even though it was the two of them, and they were not afraid to ask the important questions. Van Jones was the guest, so they were not afraid to ask him all the important questions. And I really like them on the show, and I think that they should keep them. I'm gonna go look at Sherry. I've seen Sherry. Um, and the thing with Sherry is she's very experienced, right? She has done The View. She's right now on the Ricky Smiley Show. She's done her own thing. She's been in movies. She's done comedy. So Sherry knows how this thing works. So for her experience, I would say she would be a good one. I just haven't seen her, but a lot of people really want her to come back. So far, because I have not seen her, my vote is for Remy Ma and Fat Joe. I like them better than I did Nick Cannon. Last year when Nick Cannon was filling in for Wendy, he did a good job as well. I don't see Nick asking the hard questions. I don't think he's groomed. I don't think he's well groomed enough. He's a wild and out type of person. He's not a a person who knows how to come in here and be a journalist and ask the hard questions. He would need a producer or someone to write the questions out for him and make sure that he crossed over because I don't see him doing that. That Remy Ma and Fat Joe, I think, is just in their nature to be bold people. Therefore, asking people hard questions is nothing new or intimidating for them. And they do it in a very nice way, very professional way. So I like that. I really, really like them. So I just wanted to say that about them. Uh, the only thing is today Remy did say the word MINES when it should have been singular. A lot of people in the black community need to understand what is plural and what is singular and when to use certain terms. It's not minds, it's mine, MINE. Okay. Unless you're talking about a multitude of minefields, then you can say, the mines. So that's the only thing I would say is they may need to tighten up on some of their the words, the verbiage that they use. But other than that, they were perfect. They were perfect. I really like them. I'm not going to say it anymore. I think I've said that 100 times, right? And But there was something I wanted to show you as well with Love and Marriage Huntsville, but I think I'm going to digress on that because I have been on here long enough. I just wanted to come on and have some dialogue with my subscribers who clearly don't show up for me. They haven't showed up for me since I did the segment on, that avatar, which I don't, that's just not. I only wanted to do that particular segment because I didn't like how a certain person was treated over there, and it really got in my spirit and made me want to do that. But so that's where a lot of my subscribers on this channel have come from. Um, is from that particular video, and I'm still rethinking some things. So just, but I see you. I know that you have many different accounts here. I know that about you. And that's why you don't get in my comments and say anything because you know I'm going to block you. If you come up with a different name but the same behavior, you know that's what's going to happen, right? So, I just want to say love, soft love, peace, and blessings to all of you. And thank you for showing up. And have a good night. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. I probably will not be back on here before the Real Housewives of Potomac on Sunday because it's going to be a busy week for me. I promise. If I come on here, it may be for a short while to do a little bit of something, but other than that, peace, love, and blessings.